speaking of like movies that have been like bad, I saw Megalopolis.
Shut up!
Yeah.
How did you like?
I saw it in IMAX.
and I'm telling you guys, it's fucking wild.
I saw it in IMAX, bro. That shit was unreal. I lost that movie every 10 minutes. Like I think every 10 minutes I was like, I think I get it, and then the next 10 minutes would go, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I was just surprised the range Adam Driver has as an actor.
I'm not surprised, dude. That guy is insane.
He's freaking
he is
funny in that
He's one
movie,
of the
bro.
most talented, poignant, and impressive actors ever.
They had a stacked cast though, no?
Oh, dude, stacked. Giancarlo Esposito, Audrey, whatever her name is, the one that plays April in Parks and Rec. Shia LaBeouf was in it. Yeah,
dude. Side character or just a cameo?
No, like a main character. Like he was the main antagonist.
Who
for, like,
directed
most of
the
movie.
film?
Frank Coppola. Coppola. Yeah,
Okay,
the same guy that did The Godfather.
I was about to say because I didn't.
He sold his vineyard to pay for the movie. That's a true fact.
Oh my god.
He and it was like $150 million. The movie took 40 years of work, both in like how he wrote it and wanted to portray things. I do think it was a bad movie objectively.
Cult classic though, bad or
cult classic bad. We're gonna 30 years from now, people are going to claim that that's one of the best movies ever made.
Now, Nate, I'm gonna put you on I'll put you on the spot right now.
Yeah.
Give me. There has to be at least 5 characteristics that you see is what's gonna carry this as a cult classic. And when these motherfucking kids come back to this episode like years from now, they'll know why. Go.
Okay,
because I haven't seen it. I kind of want to.
Number one is why it feels like a schizophrenic nightmare the whole movie. I think that like most media is going to turn into a hardcore abstraction later. Like I can just see it. Like in what movies have started to be more and more famous, the movies that have gotten more popular are like the more experimental.
There's a movie called Wild Robots.
Yeah.
I forgot the studio that made it. It's really good and it's really well made. That was one of those films that made me feel like a kid again in a good way. And
Megalopolis made me feel confused like a kid.
Yeah.
like it sat me down and it was like, I mean, because its theming is so brutally like in your face.
Before we hit the other 4 points for him, Wild Robots, definitely a good watch. I would recommend it for sure. It's just, you need that cleanser from all the stupid shit that you've seen this year because that movie has a wholesome message, great characters, and there's no agenda. It's just solely to make sure kids know that they could be more than what they're supposed to be.
Dude, no, the best movie for that, hands down, is The Little Prince. It tells kids, like, hey, like, enjoy this part of your life because it's fleeting and it's important. And then it tells adults, like, hey, remember being a kid? That was cool. That was really cool.
Now hit the 4 points for Megalopolis.
Yeah. The other reason why it'll be a cult classic is because it's quirky. No, like, the schizophrenic meltdown stuff kind of transcends into this. But, like, people won't understand it at a general cultural level until we've progressed as a society to, like, be able to talk about, I would say, higher order topics as like a general background consciousness.
Give me something to like
chew on.
Yeah, give me a scene. Give me something that you like stuck out to you as a scene because that movie clip wise,
that movie
does not give it any justice. There's so much shit going on.
You can't watch clip by clip because the whole movie feels like it's clip by clip. But I don't think it's the movie. It's like, okay, earlier before we started filming, I was talking about like how I love Elder Scrolls, right? And I promise this is related. Elder Scrolls to me is like what Megalopolis is to movies. Because Elder Scrolls, the game, is like, yeah, it's a bunch of mechanics, you interact with it. But what I love about the Elder Scrolls, what makes it like my favorite fictional setting ever, is like all the background lore and content and complex themes and emotions and messages, which like everything is in the realm of like complex, non-human gods, like contemplating consciousness, and then that embodies itself as all of existence and yada, yada, yada. And it goes on, and it's really impressive. To me, Megalopolis feels like that. Like you're watching it, and it's so meaninglessly thrown together and pieced up different just emotions and thoughts.
Does it kind of do...
Like take his time stop power, for instance, right? Like
who has the time stop power?
Adam Driver in the movie. He has a time stop power. That's like the first scene. It opens up with that ability. But in it, the theme is, and it's implied that his ability to stop time, everything's a metaphor for the first point in the movie. Everything. That's my third reason. Everything's a metaphor in that movie.
Number 3, metaphor.
Number 3, everything's a metaphor. but the metaphor of his time stop ability is that because he has a reason, will, and actionable ability to create, he can. He has all of the time in the world. He can stop time, right? And he's inspired by something. He has a drive to do something. He wants to create. He's in the proper time, place, and surroundings to make creation so easy. It's as if he can stop time. And that's like one of the major themes.
I have a question, right? So Tenet, from what Christopher Nolan said, was kind of how it's like a metaphor for movie making.
Yeah.
So what is Megalopolis' metaphor?
Megalopolis is not a... Its most general theme is you as an individual should entitle yourself to creation for creation's sake, not because you owe it to anybody, not because it's inconvenient, but because you should do it for the next generation. That is your purpose.
So it's providing for the next generation.
It's not
There's
providing for the next
maliceness.
generation. No. Exactly as I said, it's like creating for creation's sake for the next generation. You're not necessarily doing it for them. You're creating for yourself, but it will by proxy be for them.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really complicated theme to communicate. And I don't think that the movie even did a great job at communicating it. I just think, like I said, the subtext, the between the lines, every scene makes no sense on its own. Connected, it makes a little bit of sense. And then, like, over the whole context, it makes a good lick of sense. Coppola knows how to shoot stuff like that. I think what he was showing with this, because this was, if anything, a passion project. And I think that's my number. Am I at 4 now?
Number four.
Number 4. It's a passion project from a famous director.
People say it's an old man's dream.
No, I do think it's an old man's dream, but in a good way. Line. Like, I think that, like, okay, back to what we were talking about with, like, how your personality will crystallize as, like, a 35 to 40-year-old, right?
Now I'm thinking opposite because of these great artists.
No, but hold on, man. That's where I'm getting it. An artist's purpose, in my opinion, is to create with no sense. And this is, like, for my dad, because it's his opinion, really. And I agree with it. It's so accurate. An artist's purpose is to create and not give a shit, right? Like, your goal as an artist is just to put things out into the world and make it real. And make it as close to what you can think of as what you want. Not what other people tell you, what you want to create. The best artists, and you've probably met them, right? They'll draw something, and you'll be like, wow, that's really good. And like, I fucking can't stand this, right? Because all they're trying to do is translate a completely immutable, not real, pure concept in their own heads into something tangible that explains what they love so much about anything.
It's like bodybuilding.
Yeah, well,
body dysmorphia, all that stuff.
It's found in everything. And this is, to bring it back to the theme of, like, my growth as a person. The reason why I became an engineer and not a philosopher or an artist is because I knew my goal in life was to have things like a family, have things like my children, like a shop, whatever, and be free to create and enjoy that part of life.
I see you, the guys that, like, rescue pups.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I see you in, like, a little shack.
but I wanted to be free to, like, create stuff, and that came with a price tag, and I was like, man, I'm not really gonna make good money.
You basically did what Megalopolis did, building big.
And that's why I genuinely think that movie, like Adam Driver. Oh, no, this is my number 5. Number 5, Adam Driver's character is the best literally me character to have ever existed. But, like, for me, Adam Driver's character, his name is literally Caesar. The whole theme is playing on the whole, like, theme of the movie is also playing on the collapse of empire. Like, that's a major theme throughout the whole work. The city in it is based on and looks like New York. And they even reinforce this with Art Deco and the Chrysler Building and all these other, like, really iconic parts of the New York skyline. But I don't think they really ever flat out come out and say it's New York. They refer to it as New Rome. And then they use the words Rome and New Rome interchangeably to refer to a collective, that being the United States or Western culture in general.
Do you think it's Mr. Coppola's way of saying how...
Coppola, like all artists, is trying his absolute damnedest. I genuinely think this is his near to last or last film. Right? I mean, let's be honest. This dude's, like, ancient, right?
He is ancient. He really is.
So it's like, and he knows that. Everybody knows that. But that's the thing. He's trying his absolute damnedest to get out those last squeezed vestibules of what makes his art his art. You cannot do that and make it make sense. It doesn't work.
How grand that movie is, I only have 2 questions. Well, it's not really a question. I kind of see the movie as his way of kind of saying how he feels everything's gonna culminate again. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're getting close to a
Yes.
new era, but
Agreed.
there's so many people that aren't keeping up with history
and
that's
that's
it's putting
exactly
us in a weird situation.
that was another big theme. Oh my god, dude! Like there were 2 moments that were like absolute. What the fuck did he mean by this moments? Like, there was a part where they said like, what do we make of these old gods? And then like the immediate hard cut was to Hitler. And I'm like, what the fuck did he mean by that?
Oh my gosh.
And then but then it cut to Mussolini, and then it cut to like other national leaders of World War II, or even just concepts such as liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness, which was like, again, how like much of a violent, visceral piece of imagery is that, where you see like this like major artist or whatever say these old gods, starting with like the embodiment of fascism and like postmodern evil, right? That being Hitler, but then also conflating and turning that into things that we conflate as liberty and happiness. The goal of that artist is to create things. The goal of the artist is to try their best to communicate that creation. But every artist knows inherent to themselves that they can't do the perfect job of capturing how they feel or how they think about things. Yeah. And every artist knows this. But that's why the medium is so important at which they use to express themselves. Coppola tried with this movie so desperately to communicate what I think is in his opinion, his final send-off message to the world. That being like, create for creation's sake, do it for the next generation at least, but at most do it for yourselves. Mm-hmm. Know that we're at the end of a really complex era, and that stuff is changing so violently that nobody can predict what we're doing, wrong or right. Know that there are moral judgments that people will bring to you, and the world won't wait for you either. One of my favorite parts of the movie is when Giancarlo's character, the mayor of New Rome, finally steps onto a treadmill of progress towards Megalopolis, right? Because the whole movie, even though his own daughter is married to the guy that's creating Megalopolis, he's like hating everything, even like his own grandchild to an extent, because it reminds him of this person that he's been a rival against for so long. But when he finally steps on that treadmill, that's literally the state, the mayor of New Rome, going into the flow of progress, because his true love, his wife, a very practically minded character, one that said, guys, can we not argue about this? We're playing cards right now. Like, she's trying to be practical. Yeah. She wants them to be focused on the now, focused on their next generation, their grandchild, their family, right? She's like, come with me. And then that's finally what gets it to work. Things like love and principles of things like that is what works in the long run. Yeah. And that's, I think, what the movie tries to communicate. There are principles and virtues of human life that will bring us to those utopias that we're all dreaming about. But those utopias don't happen because it's convenient or because we deserve to have them happen. They happen because people are daring enough to go against everything, all of the state, all of reality, all of their friends, all of whatever, Jesus, and just create for creation's sake, and try their best when they have the time to, and push. And that's to wrap it all together, like, my growth as an adult has come to that point where I've realized it's important to know my place in time, know that time is passing, and that not because it's even the right thing to do, but because I would want that for myself looking back at now, right?
Very good.
And then past that, it's movies like that make me think of it, and that's why I would think it's going to be a good movie.
Is there anything you would like to plug, Nate, before we do our send off?
Plug Megalopolis. I do think that people should see that movie not like as a wow, this is a good or bad movie, but just as a movie that like hopefully.
What's your score out of 10?
Makes them like, man, I don't know. I don't think it deserves a score. I don't, because I don't really see it as a movie. I see it as like a legitimate like consciousness meld to the director, because it's like when the director has absolute artistic control and there is nobody to tell him yes or no because he's paying for fucking everything. Yeah. Like you don't score that movie relative to my other favorite movies. You score that movie as like a benchmark of some time in art, right? And that's kind of like nobody's going to care or even think about it, and then like for whatever reason, like 15 years down the line, it'll be like 15 years, 20 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of, if not most movies are going to feel or be like that. And people are going to be like, oh, all these movies are terrible. They're like that old Megalopolis piece of shit. But like, I really think most media is going to feel or look like that eventually.
I see. Anything else besides Megalopolis?
Yeah, that's it, really.
Y'all, make sure y'all follow